Just quieten down, baby.
Per capita export value.
Library.
Minister, are you embarrassed by your behavior today?
There's a lot of bleeding hearts around.
Do you have the fortitude or the gonads to stand up and come across here and say that to me, you son of a bitch?
Just watch me.
He certainly went too far, Mr. Speaker, when I saw him stick his tongue out.
Contemptuous disregard.
More than a slab of bacon talking here.
The disappointment you also feel is my responsibility.
I lost my temper.
What is the nature of your thoughts?
The word was F-A-R-T.
Fuck. I'm put on the spot. God damn it. Reese asked me to do an intro and I'm coming up blank. Reese is sick and he's recording from home. So this is me welcoming you to Canadian Politics is Boring. Don't worry, it's not just me. I know that made it sound like it was just me.
I'm here.
There you go. Reese is low energy because of his cold and he's worried that it's going to come across. And I told him, don't worry. Welcome to my world where I'm low energy every single episode because I have to learn about fucking Canadian politics. So, yes, welcome to the show where I, an apathetic Canadian, am forced to learn about my own country's political system and history through a Welsh immigrant, Reese, who is now sick, and I get to point and laugh at him.
No, I just got a cold or something. It's fine. I'm not on my deathbed. You made it sound like it's like almost like a tribute episode to me.
Everyone send in your letters.
Send your letters in. Exactly. Good.
We got some messages and we got some voicemails. Are we going to play them this episode?
No, I don't have that set up. So
okay.
I don't have them there.
So, but just let you guys know, we've heard them. They're great. Thank you so much. Keep sending them. We will play them when Reese is feeling better.
We will play them. Also, I was going to do some quick admin to say I was a guest on a podcast called Global Blue Noses. Which was, if anyone wants to check me out, it's a show about people from Nova Scotia working around the world and people from around the world coming to Nova Scotia. It's called Global Blue Noses. And I was on another podcast called the Il Inferno podcast too, talking about my career.
What's the Il Inferno?
I'll find it now. What's the name of the podcast? It's, hang on, let me bring it up.
Reese is so good at shouting people out. He's a master at it.
So the podcast is called the Alien Pharaoh podcast. Sorry.
Not the Il Inferno podcast.
No, I remembered the name wrong. So it's ILIENFERO podcast, and I basically talk for like an hour about my career, my TV career, and everything. If you wanted to hear me talk a bit more about my life, if that's interesting.
Wow.
It's 81 minutes long.
God damn. I'm going to shout out a podcast that I haven't shouted out in a long time. We Live on a Planet, my buddy Patrick. He has pod faded. He hasn't done it in since the New Year's. And I've been bugging him to I know, I've been bugging him to get back on the mic, and he keeps saying he will. And it's been like over half a year now. And I think I have to do math. And so go to his website. There's a call out. WLOAP, We Live on a Planet. WLOAP.com, and there's a voicemail button. Just leave him a voicemail telling him to get the fuck back on the air. You can even say that I told you. There you go.
Yeah. Don't even mention us. Just pretend that you didn't ask. It'd be fine.
Exactly. Yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
So are we gonna briefly enter the STD zone?
Okay.
Do you want to dip it in quick?
When you put it like that, how could I resist? I have been involved with film. I was visiting a friend in Montreal, and I was like, you know what, I need to go back to Nova Scotia and just hit the ground running. And so I've been writing. I wrote like 5 short film scripts in like 3 weeks. Not all of them good. We shot one of them just last week, and it went really well. And it was. It's been really fun. I was feeling energetic about it.
I was chatting to somebody who was on set when you were filming. Someone you were recruited to be in your film, and they were like, "Oh, you should have seen Jesse on the weekend. He was being all directory."
Who is this?
Sarah.
Oh, of course, Sarah. Right? Yeah, obviously.
Jesse was being so directory and all directoring.
I mean, that's my job.
I know, exactly. So yeah, it's just a new side to you. Usually, you turn up like your shirt's unbuttoned, your pants are on backwards, and be like, she was in prep.
That's how the kids are wearing it these days, Reese. Get in fucking touch. Okay? Just saying, I'm hip and you are square.
No, exactly.
As the kids these days say.
I've had a good day. So my son was
Except if you're sick.
No, apart from being sick. Yeah, but my son was elected. First of all,
just hold on. Sorry. If you are new here, the STD zone stands for Small Talk Dimension Zone.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. So that makes sense. Good. Anyway, so my son got elected to be his class representative, which was good.
Oh, that's getting into politics at a young age. There you go.
And one of the things he had to do was public speaking to like about 400 people and give a little talk with some other classmates. And he did it this morning. It was brilliant. I was there.
Okay, so see that I disagree with.
Why?
As that he was made to do that. That public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Number one. Number two is death.
Well,
Did you know that?
He wasn't even nervous. He was fine.
Well, some people aren't. I'm born into it. I was born into a family of comedians, and it runs in my blood. I've never been afraid of speaking in front of hundreds or thousands of people. I've done it. Maybe not thousands, but definitely hundreds. And I've like in person on the radio. It's just not. The fear isn't there, and I'm very lucky. I didn't have to train for it. But the majority people, it's like it would be like, like, hey, welcome, you're class president now. Now, as class president, as you know, we have to put this helmet on your head and fill it with spiders. Like that's just, like he got offered no training how to go through that, no coaching how to go through that. Like I don't know. I think that's wrong. Good on your son to be able to have that natural ability, but most people don't have that.
Yeah, but he put himself forward for it because that was this was part of the deal. If you win this election, then that's part of the thing you got to do. So he put himself forward for it.
I mean, okay, so
forced into doing it.
Well, also unfair that only people who are good at public speaking can then become leaders.
Well, it's kind of part of the deal.
I mean, you can learn to be public. There's something called Toastmasters, which like probably wouldn't be great for a little kid, but it teaches you how to speak in front of in the public, and it helps you get rid of your in the public, with your words, and it helps you get rid of your fear of public speaking. I went through it not because I was afraid, but because it's fun. But anyway, good on your kid. Good on your kid. Shitty on the education system for forcing kids to do that.
Well, it's all about humiliating them in front of their friends. That's what the education system's about.
That's true.
Why do you think people play dodgeball? I was going to say, one of our listeners, our episode last week about the Epoch Times, one of our patrons actually got an email from us saying, hey, there's a new episode about the Epoch Times. And they got an email from the Epoch Times at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Which is quite interesting.
and they got an email from the Epoch Times saying that there's a new episode of us.
Exactly. They just did an episode about us. So... which is good. But anyway, I was going to talk to you about this. Let's move on to the topic. Jesse, when I tell you,
yes, Reese.
when I say the name, the Ku Klux Klan, what do you imagine in your head, and where do you imagine it?
The States, men in white robes with pointy hats, typically in the southern region. Couple 100 years old, still going strong. Maybe not as strong.
I imagine
filled with hate and misunderstanding, and etc. Yeah. Not great.
Toothless, chinless hicks with
chinless,
just angrily displaying their genetic superiority despite all prevailing evidence. That's what I imagine.
Oh yeah.
There's
you know what, there's a, I don't know, I think we've talked about this before. I don't know his name, but there's a guy. This is true. A black man in the States.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I've actually spoken to him by email.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He's amazing. I was trying.
For those who don't know,
I was trying to do a documentary about him.
So for those who don't know who we're talking about, do you know his name then?
Daryl, I think his name is.
Okay, so Daryl would just befriend members of the Ku Klux Klan. He wouldn't tell them not to do it or to stop or this is wrong. He would just befriend them. He would just be their friends. And like he got so many of them to just voluntarily leave the group just by being his friend, being their friend. That's it. That's all he did. It's kind of an amazing gesture, not like gesture, but like an amazing concept of like, love over hate sort of thing. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, no. So he was just like, they probably never had a friend who was African American. And if I become their friend, then they'll have an African American friend to actually be relate to them. And
right, yeah,
exactly. So that was it. He
didn't like try to force them to leave. He was just their friend, and they left on their own. They left on their own like accord. From what I understand.
And he basically Daryl Davis, that's his name. So they give him when they leave the Ku Klux Klan, they give him their robes. So he's got like this walk-in closet full of all the robes of former Klan members, which is amazing. But anyway,
it's a little weird, but
so in our heads we have this image of the Klan,
and it's a little weird and hard to explain to someone who doesn't know his story. Who walks into his closet?
Exactly.
Daryl.
He's really into cosplay.
I was looking for the bathroom, but I found. Yeah.
So
he's really into cosplay. I don't think you know how cosplay works. Jesus.
No, it's not a good choice.
What do you go into the con, the convention as, Reese?
I'm not allowed there anymore, so.
I'm good.
So the title of this episode, I agree with you. You immediately think of like the deep South in America, but this episode is, and I'm very proud, very, very proud of this title. This episode is called SaskatcheKlan.
Oh, all right.
Do you like that? Rolls off the tongue.
Yep, it was well done.
So, did you know that Saskatchewan was a hotbed for the Ku Klux Klan for a long time?
I really didn't know.
So, the Klan was all about obviously white racial supremacy, and it kind of faded out in the 1870s after it was initially started after the American Civil War, but it was revived in 1915 by a small group of men.
What year was the American Civil War?
Like 1866, I think.
I thought it had been around a lot longer than that. Wow.
No. So it was after the Civil War because they wanted to kind of. It was like a. They wanted to intimidate.
Kind of a response to
people having their freedom,
perhaps. Yeah,
exactly. So in 1915, a small group of men pledged allegiance in Atlanta under a fiery cross to the invisible Empire Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. And by the fall of 2021 in the US, there were 100,000 members. And at
what year?
1921. I said 2021. 1921. And the peak membership was 3 to 6 million in the 1920s.
Jeez.
And
this is in Saskatchewan?
No, this was in America.
I was going to say.
But it did grow. It was popular in Canada as well. So cross burnings would happen they happened in Fredericton, and also they happened in Nova Scotia as well. And it wasn't like a rare thing for people to kind of for the Klan to appear in like all towns all across Canada.
Wow.
And it was because
that's gross.
Yeah, and it was because a lot of the people who joined the Klan were Protestants who felt threatened by, rising immigration, Catholics, and French Canadians. So it was slightly different in Canada. They played on different kind of like racist fears, but also against Black people, Jews, foreigners, basically anyone who wasn't
anyone who's different. Yeah,
anyone who wasn't like traditionally British, if you know what I mean.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So if you didn't fit British Protestant Canadian nationalism, then you would be targeted by the Canadian Klan.
Okay.
Hello. I'm sorry, I lost you there.
I was shaking my protein drink and it was making a funny noise.
Oh, you don't want lumps. Anyway, do you know, I do protein drinks in a blender. You don't get lumps then. So. Is this ASMR? Yeah, I thought it was. You didn't even announce it. Normally you announce it and then, yeah.
Surprise ASMR.
There we go. Non-consensual ASMR. That's what I call it.
Okay, yeah.
I'm feeling violated.
Your ear holes feel violated?
Yeah, exactly. They do. So anyway, and at this time things were changing. Women were allowed to vote. Women
I'm
were
going to take
getting
my shirt off. Hold on.
What? Where are we going with this?
Just 1 second. Take my headphones off. I can't hear you. I'm taking my shirt off. Ugh. Oh, God. Okay. Oh yeah, that's better.
There we go.
Half naked. So I'm in my closet with my recording setup, and it's a hot day, and I'm starting to sweat. So I just decided to disrobe. There you go.
Nice.
Enjoy.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
I'll
continue my history lesson.
Okay, so
while I'm half naked. Well, you picture that. Yeah?
Something good was happening in the 20s in Canada. Women could vote. Women were paid for work in the workforce. They were bobbing their hair. They were smoking, and gender roles were changing. And the Klan.
Do you mean smoking as in like they were smoking cigarettes, or smoking as in like, ooh, they were smoking?
Both.
Okay.
Either or, both. And also, and the Klan didn't want this because they thought that controlling
anything different is bad, of course.
Yeah, and controlling women's sexuality is an essential part of keeping the white race pure, apparently, according to them.
Right.
So under this approach, the Klan exploded in Saskatchewan and had 25,000 members.
Jesus.
And there was a huge rally outside Moose Jaw on June the 7th, 1927. 8,000 people attended the rally. And
for or against?
For. They were like there for the Klan. And the newspaper reports said there were more than 1,000 automobiles at the scene.
Jesus.
So well done, Saskatchewan.
I mean, it was a century ago.
I know. But then, what happened? There were two of the Klan organizers in 1927, someone called Emmons and Scott. They basically fled the province and took all the money from the membership fees.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
From the sale of all the robes, and they ran away with the money.
Excellent. There you go.
So they thought it would have collapsed. The Saskatchewan Klan was supposed to have collapsed then, but instead what they did was they restructured as like a local, smaller scale grassroots organization. And they severed all ties.
Just like meeting in like church gyms and like YMCAs and stuff.
And also having nothing to do with the American Klan. They were like, we don't want anything to do with that when we're our own. So they had robes and hoods.
That's funny. There's irony in that.
Well,
the Americans are different. Anything different is bad, including ourselves.
And they stole all their money. So like they felt they were butthurt by having their money stolen.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And also this Canadian Klan, Saskatchewan Canadian Klan, they rejected violence. Their main purpose was to keep Canada British and follow constitutional methods to achieve that goal. But cross burnings, verbal attacks, and it kind of, all that kind of mean stuff still carried on, and it was still kind of very.
So it wasn't
hateful.
a complete rebranding.
It wasn't. It was kind of, they were just like, and also like obviously the American Klan didn't care about British stuff.
Right. So this is a subsection of the KKK who cared about British stuff.
Yeah. Well, they were the Canadian ones who wanted to keep Canada British, I guess. Which is
doesn't roll off the tongue as much as keep America great. Make America great again.
Canada British more.
Keep Canada British. Did you say keep Canada British more?
Yeah.
That's good.
Exactly. Should do that as a hat and a t-shirt.
Keep Canada British more. Let's not do that.
Keep Saskatchewan British, I guess, was their thing.
Oh, okay. So they didn't care about the rest of Canada.
They didn't care about the rest of Canada. Well, I guess they probably did, but they all lived there. But I can't believe the numbers of people. Hang on. So 1927, what was the population of Saskatchewan?
Are you literally asking me this?
Population. So I'm trying to work out. 25,000 people.
You trying to do the percentage?
Trying to work this out. So Saskatchewan, 1956.
Welcome to our new podcast, Reese Does Math Out Loud.
What was the population of Saskatchewan? And they were okay. So they were about 750,000 people. So it was still a sizable chunk of the population.
Okay. And how big were the SaskatcheKlans?
25,000.
All right, so not I mean, it's a significant amount, but not huge percentage-wise. Right?
But it was enough to influence the 1929 election.
Okay.
So the Liberal Party had been in power for a long time, and the clan in the SaskatcheKlan decided that they wanted to help the Conservatives because the Liberals had been in power for like 20 years. So the Conservatives decided to cozy up with the KKK.
The Liberals did?
No, the Conservatives.
That's just okay.
And they thought,
which is still just as surprising for the Conservatives back in the day.
Yeah, well, they thought they had a common enemy in Roman Catholics and immigrants. So, so they used they leveraged the KKK's influence, and apparently it had a big swing on helping the Conservatives gain power in Saskatchewan.
Wow.
And then after that,
it's too hot. I can take my pants off. 1 second.
Jesus Christ!
I'm kidding. I'm joking. Sorry.
so then,
it's worth it just to hear your reaction.
So what happened then was
I considered it though. It is hot in here.
The Great Depression came, and then membership just died off because people were too busy trying to.
They couldn't afford it.
They couldn't afford the membership anymore. They couldn't afford the robes. Yeah. So, so the kind of it died out. They did try and revive it in the 60s and the 70s, and I know that there's been some activity like in other parts. Like there seems to be still activity in like Nova Scotia sometimes.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, and even though it's not they don't openly operate, it tends to be like they keep I'm
guessing in rural Nova Scotia.
Yeah, they only wear robes like at each other's barbecues, that kind of stuff. But it's interesting though because you can see how like the Conservatives teaming up with the far right helped them, but it was the 20s,
right?
So you'd hope that 100 years later, like the Conservatives now cozying up with a lot more far right stuff. Will it work? I don't know.
Hold on, are you saying that's happening again now?
Well, Polyev with a bloody the Freedom Convoy and all that.
Well, that's different than joining the KKK.
No, I know.
I mean, it's not that different, but like from.
It's not exactly the same.
It's not exactly. Yeah, no. But it's like, but doing that, joining the KKK is like making a statement. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Well, it is. Yeah,
But they didn't do that. Okay, so that's good.
No, exactly. It says that it is one hell of a statement to make. To kind of like.
Right.
But I'm sure. Hang on a minute. There was a. Let me find this. There was, like I said, there we go.
I feel like a lot of people in politics are, and I kind of want this feeling to be wrong, but I kind of feel like a lot of people vote for people in politics simply because they stand for like one of like the 20 things they stand for just happens to be aligned with some of their voters.
I think so too.
And their voters don't, as long as that one thing is being addressed, they genuinely don't care about the rest of the policies that their party is toting. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, we're gonna lower taxes for middle income families. Yeah, woo woo, I'll vote for you. Woo woo, yeah. And we're joining the KKK. Okay, all right, thanks for your time, everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
yeah. No, exactly. Well, that was it. In 2010, a man was convicted of hate crime because he burned a cross in Nova Scotia, in Windsor, Nova Scotia.
I think I remember that actually.
Justin Chad Rayberg, 20, pleaded guilty to criminal harassment.
He was a Chad.
So I think what happened was Michelle Lyon, who was white, and Shane Howe, who was black, who were a couple, awoke to find a cross with a noose on it burning outside their Nova Scotia home. Their 5 children aged between 2 and 17 were home at the time. So like people still aren't doing this kind of stuff.
We have to admit that it's gone down significantly in a century.
No, I know, but I find it weird that people are still doing the upside down or the burning cross thing. Like it's such a...
People are stupid, man. The longer I live on this planet, I swear to God. People are really dumb.
Yeah.
Not our listeners. No, our listeners are so smart and lovely and delightful.
Some of the smartest, and we love way smarter than the content they listen to.
It's so much smarter. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
exactly.
Yeah. We love you. Don't leave us.
So anyway, so there we go. If I hope now that you know that Saskatchewan was a hotbed of the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s.
That's so. How did it just peter out?
Yeah, because of
like,
the Depression.
Because of the Depression. Okay, and it never really. You said it bounced back in the 60s a little bit.
No, some people tried to do it in the 60s, but I think everyone, luckily, TV and media had portrayed the Ku Klux Klan as almost like comedic.
Wow, right.
You know, and
well,
I think
a disturbing thought to me is how many people? 25,000 members in the 20s in Saskatchewan.
Yes.
You said,
yeah. There's a good chance that someone listening, their grandparents were in it.
So, like, this is very much akin to Trump losing the election, just because the Ku Klux Klan dissipated during the recession doesn't mean those people went away.
No, they didn't.
Right? They're still there. Same with Trump supporters, man. They didn't disappear.
Well,
They didn't vanish into a void.
If the temperature drops down a bit, then it's not as terrifying.
What?
Well, you know, like if like a group of like people rally around a cause together and start causing trouble, like the Freedom Convoy, for instance. But then once like it kind of the ebb and flow of things, once that kind of rallying point like fades away, they just get on with their lives.
Yes.
That's not to say someone else is in there waiting to recruit them to get them to do their next thing.
No, but I'm saying like their mentality doesn't suddenly change. Their actions based on their mentality suddenly wouldn't change. Now, I suppose without having like a weekly fucking meeting to rile them up, their actions wouldn't be as heinous.
But also you think of strength in numbers. If you know there's 25,000 people who agree with you, you're not afraid to express your opinion.
That's true. I was actually thinking about that.
You dismantle those structures and people are like, you know, this is why you get.
I was thinking about like how crazy group mentality is and how amazing it is. I was thinking about this just yesterday. Like if you have even one other person to do something kind of crazy with, it doesn't feel crazy anymore. If you're in a classroom and the teacher comes in and there's like 30 people in the class and she's like, okay, everybody, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start off today a little bit different. We're going to like just stretch our arms a little bit, get the blood flowing to our brain. Okay, everybody, here we go. Clap your hands and then just wave your hands, your arms out to your sides and wave them around like a silly goose, like one of those big, waving inflatable airmen. Here you go. Everybody do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone would do it, or most people would do it, and they'd have fun. But if you yourself alone without any cue just started doing it, that would be weird. Right? That would be weird.
It would be very weird.
Yeah, but in a group mentality, it's totally fine. Nobody's looking at you as if, well, why is he doing that? We're all doing it. Therefore, it's suddenly okay, no matter what it is. It's strange, right? Like, that's bizarre. Even if it's just you and me going down the street waving our arms like inflatable tube men, suddenly it's a fun, wacky thing that Jesse and Reese are doing. But if just you did it for no fucking reason, that's weird. Right?
I'm still pretty sure it'd just be me and you doing it.
I don't think we'd get other people is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like,
and a secondhand car salesman will ask us to stand right by the road and wave and just do it.
I would totally do that, for the record, if anyone was willing to pay me.
There's a car dealership in downtown Halifax with an inflatable gorilla. I love it.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I just love the thought process. Do you know what? I'll sell more cars. We need to spend $25,000 on a giant inflatable gorilla.
But anyway, that just goes to show that, like, even if you are misguided and misdirected, if you have a small group of people all doing the same thing, and if that same thing is horrible in nature, suddenly it feels okay to do because it's being done in a group of people at the same time with everyone, right? So it's I don't really know how to combat that as a concept. Think for yourself.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Neat. Thanks for the history lesson today.
No problem at all. Yeah, and I'm going to go to bed.
I don't know if it was really political in nature.
It was, because it was about they helped swing an election.
Oh, that's true. You did throw that in there. All right, I'll give you that.
It's completely crazy.
Right. I guess that's okay.
Yeah. I did it.
Go get better, Reese.
I am going to go to bed.
Take a bunch of vitamin D. Seriously. No, really. Yeah. You look it up. Don't take my word for it. The first thing a virus, like many, many viruses, including a lot of coronaviruses, one of the first things they do is deplete your body of vitamin D, because vitamin D which is actually not a vitamin. It's a pro-hormone. Anyway, one of the first things it does is deplete your body of vitamin D, because your vitamin D is is what allows your immune system to kind of function properly. And somehow viruses evolved to learn that. So if they got rid of the vitamin D, they can multiply a lot easier inside of your body and cause havoc. So just take like 20,000 IUs a day while you're sick, 30,000, 40,000. I'm not kidding. Look it up. It's totally fine as long as you don't do it forever.
Cool.
So
thanks.
There's your unsolicited medical advice by a man who's not a doctor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if enough people do it, then you are a doctor.
I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Dr. Reverend Jesse Harley.
Reverend? Throwing it on top of the pile here. Okay, yeah.
If you've enjoyed this low energy if you've enjoed this low energy,
you sound the same, man. You don't sound high. Yeah, I don't think you've got different.
Same. I don't feel the same. Then go to CanadianPoliticsIsBoring.com where you can buy merchandise. You can leave us messages.
You can leave us messages that we'll never play on the air.
We will. And also you can support us on Patreon and there's tons and tons and tons of episodes behind the paywall that you can't hear for free.
Yeah, we've got a nice a wonderful
catalog.
Group of patrons who come in and lovingly pay us a small fee every month to hear our giant catalog, and we treat them. We give them gifts. We hang out with them in person. They get to tell us what we do. They don't. We keep telling them they're allowed to. They don't wave that magic wand. I don't know why they don't. It's kind of weird if you ask me.
I know. Anyway, it's up to them.
Yeah. If you like what we do and you want to control us, Patreon. There you go.
Control 2 human beings remotely with a podcast for only $7.50 a month.
Canadian. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Cool. All right. Bye then, Jesse.
Bye then, Reese. Go feel better.
I will.
Okay. Bye, everybody. We love you. Thanks for sticking us in your ear holes all deep and snug in there, just the way you like it.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.